Well, hello, everyone. I'm Pamela Brewer, welcoming you back to another edition of M.E.S.H. And I'm also welcoming today's guest, who is a return guest. And we will be talking more about domestic violence. But before we go there, I just want to remind you, as you know that I do every week, is that mind reading, not your job. The best way to avoid trying to mind read is to ask questions. And if somebody expects you to read their mind, they can't. Asking questions, saying what's true for you, that's the best way to go. On the other hand, and Helen, again, I do want to welcome you back to M.E.S.H. and to our conversation. And I want to finish my sentence. Because you just heard me say, ask questions, don't try to mind read. But in a violent situation, communications can be a real challenge. So I want you just to address that for a second, and then I want to go back and talk to you about Seven Blackbirds, which is the name of your book.
Yes. In a violent situation, communication has already broken down, because if people are communicating through aggression,
Right.
we're done with that. And so in a situation like that, if somebody is betraying aggression, they're not in a rational state of mind.
Okay.
They're operating from a kind of a primal part of their brain, I suppose.
Okay.
And therefore, trying to reason with that person is not going to work, probably not going to work. I hate to speak in absolutes. And B, it could be dangerous for you.
Yeah.
So
Might not be safe.
yes, in a violent situation, you have to figure out how to exit it as swiftly and gracefully as possible and get a door between you and the person, or a wall, or just be in a different place, and then you can figure out what to do. But violence is not communication.
Right. Well, it's communication, but it's certainly not healthy, and it's certainly not
Right.
safe. So
Right.
let me backtrack just a second. You are the author of a book called Seven Blackbirds. It's a fiction novel.
Yes.
I don't talk with authors of fiction books. However,
Really?
so you're the first.
I'm privileged. I'm so privileged to be here.
But the reason why this really struck a chord for me, and for people who have read your book, is that they talk about the fact that it is so on target, it is so compelling, and unfortunately, it is so true. It is such a common experience. So, Seven Blackbirds, what's that title? What does that
Oh,
mean?
we didn't talk about the title before, did we?
No.
Yeah, Seven Blackbirds is it's a nursery rhyme, Pamela. It's a Mother Goose counting rhyme, seven blackbirds in a tree. And the last line is, goes through 1, 2, 3, seven for a secret never to be told. So that nursery rhyme is sprinkled throughout the book. And at a particular moment in time, and of course, when exiting a toxic home situation, timing is everything. But
Absolutely.
she reads this nursery rhyme to her little baby boy over and over again. And at a certain point in time, after she's left the home, she's filed for divorce, she's in DV counseling. She reads that poem and realizes that she has not burned herself of all her secrets, that there is one secret about an abusive episode that she has not told anyone. And she, seven for a secret never to be told, it stands for that transformational moment, which she's going through right at that moment, this watershed, this pivotal moment, when she realizes that the only way to heal emotionally is to speak up and reveal all of the secrets, because that punches through that, I don't know, you're stuck in a paper bag of shame and guilt.
It can
And
be.
only when everything comes up and out can you begin to heal. And that's a pivotal moment in the book for her, when she blurts this out to her best friend. and the best friend says, oh my God, you've got to tell your lawyer about the, and so when she's revealed all of the horrors of which there were a few, but she got out of it pretty quick. The abuse, that's the moment when things start to change for her, Pamela. That's the
Okay.
moment when the legal process starts to go smoothly. That's the moment when her emotional recovery starts to ramp up, because it's that word, empowerment. She's finally seated inside herself and being emotionally whole as much as she can be
Gotcha.
on this journey. So that represents the culture of shame and secrecy, and the transformational moment in the life of an abused woman when she realizes she has to speak up, she has to reach out, she has to shatter that societal, it's still in this day and age,
Absolutely.
the guilt,
Absolutely.
the shame, the secrecy, the it's my fault type of mindset.
We're talking about women. We're saying she, we're saying
Mm-hmm.
her. And when we talked the last time, we acknowledged that absolutely men are abused as well. The majority are women, but men are abused as well. Would you say that there is a difference in the way in which men experience domestic violence?
Golly, I I think that violence is violence. Somebody denying your core humanity by
Yeah,
treating you like an object,
right.
sexually or
Certainly
physically or
emotionally.
emotionally.
Yeah,
Violence is violence, and I think we're all human, and we experience that soul crushing type of abuse all in the same way. And I don't think it matters who is the recipient and who is the person doing it, because it it has nothing to do with, it has everything to do with control. It has nothing to do with love. It has nothing to do with how old you are or what sex you are or what, anything. So I just, my off the cuff answer to that question, Pamela, would be, it's a human bomb, and we feel that in the same way.
absolutely. Let me ask you another question as it relates specifically to men who are abused.
Mm-hmm.
Many times when I've talked to men who've been in violent situations,
Yeah.
they'd rather talk to a woman. They don't want to talk to a man because they feel
Oh,
the shame of what's the matter with me? I'm not a manly man, whatever that is. And that's burdensome. But
sure.
there's that shame attached to how could I let her do that to me?
Mm-hmm.
Just as with women, it's,
Mm-hmm.
how many times do we hear people saying to women, how could you stay? How could you let him do that? What's the matter with you? So let's talk a little bit about those messages that society
Yes.
gives to us. You're in a violent situation, you're harmed. People often don't recognize that your life can be and often is in physical jeopardy. Instead, people say, well, why didn't you go?
Right. Right.
Why don't
That
people just get up and go?
right. So when someone says something like that, um, they're speaking from ignorance. Ignorance is different from stupidity.
Right,
They're speaking from a place where they have they've never experienced this, that maybe they don't know anyone who's experienced this. They're reacting from their ego. I think when you're presented with somebody who is talking about having been the victim of abuse, I don't like the word victim, but you have to meet them where they are. There's no point in scolding, like, oh, how come you didn't,
right,
there's no point in that. It's amazing that they've come out and spoken up to you about it. So you
right.
have to treat that very gently. You have to put all judgment, all shock, all whatever. You have, I'm preaching here, but you have to put that aside
Right, right.
and understand where the person is coming from. that person is coming from, whether it's a man or a woman, is coming from a place where they have been psychologically isolated by their abuser,
Absolutely.
which sucks all the oxygen out of the room, sucks all their energy, and they have been, the psychological isolation is necessary for the abuser to keep on abusing,
Right.
and keeping the person away from friends or counselors. And
Let me ask you another
it's
question.
amazing that they break through and reach out like that.
Well, that's the thing, because so many times, male or female, the
Mhm.
abuse continues and continues, and they don't reach out for fear of ridicule, which is often a response for a fear of not being believed. And I think sometimes, if you're reaching out to somebody who cares about you, they want to do something, and they can't make the abuse stop. Only the abuser can make the abuse stop. So they're looking for ways to do something, and then they get caught up in, well, why didn't I see it? Well, why didn't I do something?
Mhm.
It, it
Mhm.
it's such an exhausting, painful cycle.
It is, and I refuse to accept the paradigm that um, somebody brings this on themselves
Thank
or
you. Yeah.
they're responsible for this. I refuse to accept that paradigm. It is a structure that is placed on our society or on particular people who are being abused
Right.
that serves no purpose other than to make the perpetrator feel good about themselves. So
What
scratch
if
that.
what if you believe that you see somebody who's in an abusive relationship? Are there ways to tell? I mean, can you look at somebody and say, "Oh, that's a behavior that says abuse." Can you do that? Is it that simple?
It depends on how well you know the person,
Okay.
because when there's abuse going on inside the four walls of a home, that's the most private place possible, and people will tend to pull up the drawbridge,
Yes,
keep it a secret. They're
absolutely.
embarrassed. They could be highly functional out on the street, in the workplace, at school, in public, and you would never guess. So most often, somebody reaches out to an anonymous helpline, which is they're all over the place now in this country, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But when somebody actually, this is going back to what we were saying earlier, if somebody actually reaches out to you because you know them very well, you need to point them towards professionals. And if you suspect that there's something going on, and that was your question, there are two circumstances there. One is you see something awry, but the other person
Right,
doesn't realize it yet.
right, right.
And the other one is the person actually is aware and coming to you and saying, "Huh, something's going on." So if you see something awry and the other person just kind of hasn't quite broken through to that realization, to that awareness, it's painful. Becoming aware is so painful, right?
Absolutely.
Becoming conscious in life is so painful.
In
When the
your
person is in that I was just going to say, Pam, when the person is in that stage, that's when you have to be really delicate about how you deal with them, and you never want to shake somebody and say, "Can't you see what's going on?"
exactly.
I mean, it's very difficult, and all across the country in DV service resource organizations, there are programs where people people can go and kind of get trained. In Chaffee County here in Colorado, it's called Everyday Heroes, and you can ask for some help and some guidance, some training in how to talk to people, whether you're a teacher or whether you see this in your family or what, or a police officer or what, where you're able to talk to people. You learn some techniques for talking to people who are in that kind of a situation.
Which is such a wonderful program. So I'm now gonna
Yes.
ask you 2 big questions, and in the, like, very few moments we have left.
Oh.
In your book, she gets a divorce. Is divorce always the answer?
Wow.
Or at least
Yeah.
separation from the relationship? Is that always the answer?
I'll answer that question by saying that when that kind of situation has arisen in a home, in a relationship, in a marriage, whether you're legally married or not, the most important thing is rectifying that, healing from that, and becoming whole so that you have a relationship with yourself. You have to have a relationship with yourself, a healthy emotional relationship with yourself, before you can even begin to think about what does my future look like?
Fair
What
enough.
does my future look like?
Right.
So I would kind of, that's a kind of a non-answer. It's approaching it from a different angle. So I wouldn't venture to guess what that looks like for every person.
Exactly.
Um, yeah,
Which I think is a right on target answer because every answer isn't the same for every person.
right,
It
right.
really depends on the situation.
And how long it's been going on, I
That's
mean,
right.
how bad it's gotten.
That's
Yes.
right. So
There's
there are a
always
lot of
hope.
variables. Yeah.
There's always hope. Yeah.
There's always hope is so important, and the hope I just want our listeners to be mindful that when you say there's always hope that you, the person who's being harmed, can be in a different place. Because sometimes what happens in abuse is that the person who's being harmed is always hoping that the abuse will stop, and there may not be any real valid foundation for that hope, except that they really want it to be the case. So let me ask you this. Are there resources that you would recommend to people as they're trying to figure out what their next steps are?
Yes. So I'll just say woman, for a woman who's been worn down to a nubbin, feeling powerless, right? Which is the way the abuser wants her. Um, it's difficult to reach out, but that's what you have to do. The National Domestic Violence Hotline was established in 1987. I think that was President Clinton's doing. Um, every county, every city, every village, every town, every state has a hotline um, that is often the first place. It was in my book. Kim, the first thing she did was she went out to a phone booth and she called somebody and said, "Hey, I don't know what's happening here."
Right.
But like even I am right now in rural central Colorado. There's a wonderful organization here called the Alliance. They have so many programs, and look up DV or resource centers
Great.
and just scope it out a little bit. But taking that first step is
Hu
actually what's going to help you heal, because it's coming into your own and taking matters in your own hands instead of saying, "Oh, well, maybe they'll stop doing this to me."
Absolutely
That's the
huge.
victim mindset, right?
Very quickly, where can folks learn more about your book? The name of
Well,
which is Seven Blackbirds.
Seven Blackbirds. Seven Blackbirds is I've got two books out and they're linked. They're companion volumes,
Huh,
and yes, and they both came out this year. And the first one is Songs My Mother Taught Me. They deal with the same protagonist at different phases of her life. They can be read in any order.
fascinating.
I am an indie author, so I promote indie bookstores. So if you have a favorite brick and mortar independent bookstore that you like to patronize, you can ask for it there. It's also available at all the usual online platform suspects, Amazon, barnesandnoble.com. And I believe that bookshop.org is an online platform that is
Hmm,
independent bookstores.
interesting. Okay.
So I suggest that as well.
So
You can
lots of
do
options.
reviews, and yes, lots of options. You can go to my website and read
Which is,
reviews.
very quickly, your website.
Yes, yes, HelenWinslowBlack.com, HelenWinslowBlack.com, and I'm trying to get my technology gnomes to, post all the reviews and stuff like that. And so it's a work in progress, but it's a lovely work in progress. So please visit my website and email me through my website.
Ah,
I write to connect with readers, and I love feedback.
I have to thank you so much for joining us again. You're doing incredibly important work, and thank you.
Oh,
Thank you
Pamela,
for
thank
those
you so much.
thank you for those who kind of get what's going on, and thank you for those who don't.
It's
Because
all about raising awareness, isn't it?
absolutely,
It's all about raising awareness, and fiction can do that. It's the leap of the imagination. Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
Well, again, I wanna thank you, and I wanna thank those of you who are listening, to this edition of M.E.S.H. I am here every week. Every Wednesday, you will see a new program, and I hope that you have enjoyed this program and share it, forward it to someone you care about. Helen, thank you again so much. It's been such a delight.
Thank you, Pamela. Such a pleasure.